Hello, I'm Randy Roebuck. I lead the technical activities at Omniair. I'm here today to present on our single and multi-protocol UHF RFID tolling certification process. Omniair is a global nonprofit industry trade association for ITS, tolling, and connected vehicles serving public agencies, private companies, institutions, independent test facilities. Uh, we promote conformance and interoperability. How? We're an independent third-party testing certification through a global network of accredited labs using qualified test equipment and validated test cases. What? We certify the technology to ensure devices conform to the industry standards and are interoperable, meeting the needs of end users, enabling trusted communications. Why are we here? We help our members earn certification and not simply give it away. Omniair has many MOU affiliations, such as ITS Korea, Taiwan, ITS China, ITS Canada, 5GAA. We're basically driven by our members. We have different working groups. We have certification processes, pulling emerging payment services, which include both the traditional over-the-road tolling and road user charging. We also have a technology V2X group that deals with radio modules, OBUs, ASDs, infrastructure, RSUs, and applications. Also, we have a cybersecurity group that provides the security and trust factor part of transmitting the communications. We have a membership policy, confidentiality policy, we have recertification policies, IP, and trademark, which we'll get into. Our activities, we develop certification scopes, test cases, testing interface. We hold Floodfest twice a year. We hold technology and policy workshops. We have monthly membership calls. It serves both North America, Europe, and Asia. On our left-hand side, we have a members-only documents. These are documents as far as our test procedures and governing documents that have been board approved and officially released. While documents are in development stage, we hold those on our SharePoints where each member can join and participate in their development. We go through a 14-day working group process. It may go through a few cycles, and once it passes that, we go to a 30-day IP policy, and then the board reviews it and approves it, and we release it, and we put it on our members portal of our website. On the right-hand side, you can see a listing of our certification policies. On the lower right side, you can see our UHF RFID single and multi-protocol test specs that we'll get into here. It goes from conformance to environmental to tag performance to overhead gantry testing, plaza, and what brings it all together is our test plan, which is our document 850, which we'll explain a little later. Our certification components and responsibilities. We develop a certification scope for the particular item. Element test cases are developed. We basically put them to practice and test them through our Plugfest, make sure each device has a chance to test it, refine them, and then we go in and audit the test equipment and the laboratories for their use so they can produce a test report, and we go in and review the test report, and then we can grant certification. So these are very key elements to us, and we have a network of folks that work on this. On the lower portion of it, it shows the process flow. We have this particular one is governed by 750, which is our tolling UHF certification. Then we have a test plan. Then we have the single protocol, which is TDM, 6B80K, and ISO 6C. These are the three main protocols that used in North America here. And the tolling industry has went from a single protocol to multi-protocol reader. So wherever you have a tag and whatever protocol you use, it should be read going through the tolling agencies using multi-protocol readers. Then we also have an environmental where both the tags and the readers go through a series of environmental tests. Then we have a document 820, which is performance tag parameters. Then we have an 825, which is tag programming. Then we go to 830, which does the bench interoperability. Then we have our series of documents that we test a tag in a field situation, such as overhead tolling and plaza. This process is very flexible. We can apply it to different regions of the world or the United States and at different implementation stage. Our goal is to have consistency in device classification, and it's consistent every time that we do this. Our current certification status, this is as of September 2024. We've transitioned from 6C single protocol to multi-protocol with both bench and field testing for conformance and interoperability. Currently for the RFID, we have one authorized test laboratory, DEKRA, which is located in the Washington, D.C. area. We have a qualified test tool from CIS that performs a TDM, the 6B80K, and the 6C protocol conformance. We have bench interoperability with a reference device table that's currently in the approval cycle. We have 3 home overhead gantry test tracks with their certified readers in place. So each of the major manufacturers can use their home track with their reader. We have the integrity in place so we can test and are consistent among all the certifications done at different locations. We announced this multi-protocol certification here back at IPTA Austin, which was September 2022. And we basically went through all the checks and balances and made testing service available at DEKRA in May of 2024. Currently, we have this last year, we've been working with the EasyPass group in transitioning their internal certification process to move into the Omnier certification process and with their agency's acceptance. And actually, we had our first joint product acceptance May of this year in 2024, where they accepted one set of test data for both Omnier certification and EasyPass. This is our bench performance. This kind of gives a description of what we do. It applies to the 3 protocols here. And we use the CIS tool to walk through the certification, the different elements for conformance and meeting the standard/specification. This slide here covers the environmental test, depending on what packaging type and what capabilities. We have these table here where we apply the appropriate test requirement, such as tags go through operating temperature, low and high. If you're a sticker tag, you go through IR and UV type testing. If you're a reader, you can go through the temperature testing, the humidity testing, the vibration testing, the different series which the agencies and the industry require, whether you're an interior mounted tag or an external mounted tag, or if you're an internal or external mounted reader. We have the process in play in order to test it. This here slide shows our open road tolling, single and multi-protocol reader tags and readers test scope release 2. It shows we walk through the steps as far as protocol conformance, the environmental, which is 810, our 820, which is our tag parameter performance, our 825, which is our programming. Then we move to the right side, which 830 tests the interoperability. We want to make sure different tags from different manufacturers read with the readers from other manufacturers and vice versa. And then we also test the product under test, which we call DUT, or device under test, at the field site order to test it. This is basically a certification type test program, but not a substitute for a product qual scenario. This kind of shows our certification program framework, where we start with the regulatory, safety, and security and environmental elements on the bottom on the left-hand side. Then it goes to conformance and tag parameter. Then it steps it up to the bench and programming. Then it divides into single and protocol states where we can do the applied interoperability. Once you complete that tree, this completes the acceptance testing. This shows this process in a little different form. On the left-hand side, basically the applicant goes to our website, creates an application agreement, provides us the data sheet, the user manual information for the product's capabilities and claims. We develop a test plan. We walk through it with the laboratory and the manufacturer, come to an agreement, then we start our testing. And then it walks through the different elements across the top here. Once we get past the baseline interoperability, we have a review cycle. And if it passes all that, it'll go into the field testing. There has been occasions where the client wants to do the field testing first, which is fine, and then do the bench testing. At the end of the day, our goal is to create a certifications finding letter. We walk through all the items, make sure everything is covered from, hey, is the application agreement in place? Does it have all the regulatory that the region requires, such as FCC, Part 15 or Part 90? Vendors can also provide their claims to a CE mark or a CB listing. We basically inspect the data sheet. Hey, does the data sheet reflect the testing that we've done? Then we also get external and internal pictures. We make sure all the environmental's done. If they want to make claims on the safety portion, they can provide that certificate and test report. We'll do a review and say basically it looks in place. If it has a security element, we check it, and we do all the protocol testing, and then get down to the field. And then we also do in this findings letter list if there was any deviations asked for and agreed to. This does show in the certifications finding letter, but at this time, we do not make those claims in the public document, which is the certificate, which we'll show next at a little later slide. Key definitions for certification. Some people have their own thoughts on what validation means or what a certified device is. We worked very hard with industry, come up with this definition, which a certified device is certified by a third-party certification body such as Omniair that has an accredited and authorized test laboratory using qualified test systems and validated to test cases in order to meet the minimum set of industry standards. Our members go through, identify all the key aspects of the standard specification. We put test specification together, and that's what our certification actually reflects. There are some places where they do look for validation. So if you put a certified device into a setting such as an overhead gantry or an intersection, they will take a certified device, make sure that it's working in the field, and does a quick check on the field installation. All these can cover from a tag or a transponder known in the towing world, or if you're in the connected vehicle world, it's called an OBU or an onboard device unit. But there's also readers, which they call in tolling, either read or write, or an RSU, which is called a roadside unit, applies the different elements. And we do have some scenarios where we've written test specifications for the peripheral or the interfaces to these documents, such as in connected vehicle, we have traffic signal controllers, or in the tolling world, we have lane controllers. Our test specifications are actually in our website where members can access through a portal to get to them. But we have made a couple documents publicly available, such as 753, which is a certification scope and all the matrices. It kind of brings everything together as far as the elements we described earlier, what particular items relate to each other. In connected vehicle, we actually have an 855A, which lists all the test listings of it. We do have an 850 document, which is not publicly available, but members do have access to it, which is 850, that brings all the components that we've been talking about and will be described in a little more detail later in this presentation. Conformance and interoperability. This particular diagram shows our step one, which is our single protocol testing on the bench. Then we go to the multi-protocol, make sure it's working properly. And if everything is good there, then we take into our 1 and 3 lane over the road testing field where they perform a certain set of test cases, make sure everything is operating properly over a variety of different vehicle types, such as sedans, SUVs, trucks, and then we also have edge cases where the applicant can choose, or if they're going to a certain agency that require these edge cases, we have these in the test plan so we can cover the different requirements out there in the tolling industry. This is our 850 test plan template. It shows everything that we've talked about earlier here. We basically get in the applicant, their data sheet, we fill this out, what's applicable, and create this, and the purpose of this acts kind of like the guideline to conduct all the testing and make sure the testing is done consistently every time an application comes in. So we check this, we provide this back to the applicant. The applicant takes it to one of our authorized test laboratories. They look at it, they provide a quote back to the applicant, which Omnier does not see. And then we do hold a joint meeting with the applicant and test laboratory and ask them, hey, does it look like everything is properly called out? Everything is agreed to, so they can actually provide test samples to the laboratory. The laboratory can start their testing, run through the different elements, and produce a test report. This particular slide shows our field test runs, which is really the most expensive part of the process, where they actually put tags on vehicles, run vehicles through an overhead gantry, run through a series of tests, and get the data. We look at it, make sure that everything is meeting according to industry norms. And they do have the option to increase the platoon size, putting different number of tags. So if you're doing a single protocol test, they will have one tag on the vehicle. If they're running in a multi-protocol operation, they'll put a tag of each protocol, or 3 tags on a car, and the protocol that represents the device under test is that particular protocol. And so we run a series of here. In order to set up the track, we actually have some preliminary runs we do with other industry tags that we actually test really the same type of tags across different tracks and have a gauge of what the baselines are. So when they do set up theirs here, we look at the data before they start the device under test to make sure everything looks consistent across all of our previous testing. So the device in test results could not be questioned. In our 830 document, we do have a table that we list so-called our industry known or reference devices, and that's used in our interoperability process. So basically, when you get a claim that a tag has been tested across multi-protocol performance and interoperability, it has been tested against a representative of the other manufacturer's protocol and tags as we know it. So we know that it can be read and it can be interoperable. So you can see that we list the device, what type it is, a reader or tag, what protocol it represents, what manufacturer it comes to, what style was it. If you're a reader, is it an 8-port or a single port? Is it a 4-port reader? If you're a tag, is it a windshield mount as a hard shell or a windshield mount as a sticker, or could be a license plate type tag? And is it mounted, and where is it mounted in the environment, as far as interior of a test control cabinet, or an external mounted on a test pole, a intersection, or a gantry, or if it's on the vehicle, whether it's interior of the vehicle or exterior of the vehicle. And one thing we do want is variety here. So we don't want so-called, if it's a 6C tag, be tested from the same IC, but offered from different device manufacturers. And we also do list how many tags are required in part of the test here. This slide kind of shows the gamut of all the Omnier certification services. At the top line here, which shows standards, requirements, and regulatory. Then it breaks down to working groups, test cases, and test scopes. It covers test lab, qualified test equipment, authorized test laboratory, test sites, and device certification. And at the bottom, it shows we do have groups that have stuff in progress in development, such as VDAX applications, aftermarket safety devices, transportation sensors, and our VDAX road user charging. This here kind of shows the flow where we go from test cases, security, qualified test equipment, reference devices, authorized test laboratories to a certification device on the left-hand side. And it also shows the elements which each one I'm responsible for. So the ones in gold, the device maker or applicant, goes to the website, does the application agreement. Then Omniair itself in the lighter gray develops the test plan. Then the device maker goes to the test laboratory with that test plan and make the selection. Then the authorized laboratory, which is in the darker gray, performs the conformance testing, the interoperability field testing, and they generate the test report. Then the test report comes back up, is reviewed by the device manufacturer and Omniair. Everybody's into agreement. Everything is properly shown and agreed to. And if all the requirements are met, that we grant the certification. We provide that listing on our website. And then they incorporate our certification seal trademark as part of their documentation and claims. You go to our Omniair website. The image on the left kind of shows the certification services. You can see tolling certification, connected vehicle certification, our accredited labs, and our qualified test equipment. At the bottom of this page shows our certification fees. If you're a sustaining member, those fees are waived and you're only subject to travel expenses if an audit is required. And however, the applicant is responsible for the testing fees from the laboratory. Then in the middle section kind of shows what supporting documentation that you need to provide Omniair so we can generate the certification plan and also document the audit reports and the test reports. And then on the right-hand side, it shows the beginning of the agreement that will show up once you fill out the application. After the submission of the application, test plan needs to be generated. We do not accept any testing data generation before the signing agreement. And there is a 6-month active testing duration to complete per our 722 policy. If you are still in the finalization works of testing and making progress, you can ask Omniair to extend the testing duration point, and which we normally do. And if you do let it expire, you are subject to any new changes, and you could be subject to an application fee again. So we want to make sure that everything goes through in a very timely process. Here shows the product application. You fill out your company information, address, point of contact, and what the product is. It asks you to fill out, are you a tag or a reader? Which protocols does this product apply to? What kind of certification you're requesting? who's the authorizing person here and who's the person we go work with. And also it requests your address if it's billing, if it's a different location, and what the applicant address is on the left-hand side. Here's the in process. You can go to our website. You can see who our authorized test laboratories and test sites are on the left-hand side. You're looking to claim our certification seal, and the 2 certification certificates we show here that's on our website are our latest 2. This was the product, or both a reader and a tag, that went through this testing that was basically granted certification both by Omniair and the E-ZPass folks. So we do not want the applicant to have to go through separate testing or a duplication of testing in order to get industry certifications out there. Thank you very much. This is my contact information. On the left-hand side, you can go to click on that QR code to our website. We'll give you our general information. If you want my LinkedIn information, you can click on the QR code for mine, and you're free to contact us or any of our other staff about the process. We do have an upcoming event, our Omniair San Diego Plug Fest. It's going to be held at Qualcomm in San Diego on October 28th through November 1st, where we're bringing the connected vehicle folks and we hold these every 6 months, typically at a different location. We do have an early bird registration code that's available as of this presentation. You can click on. We'll be focusing on bench conformance testing and device interoperability with the 1609.2.1 SEMS certificates, the J2735 message set, and the recent J3161 radio profile through these devices in order to enhance or migrate to the emerging V2X technology and the U.S. deployment plan. Thank you very much.